video cannot be played. Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everybody. I am Pasta Jardula.
And I'm Fiorella.
And Johnny Sue is still spinning on the ones and twos. And we are going Corona crazy over here.
You're going Corona crazy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in. If you have a ROKFIN subscription, go on over, watch us on the premium. It helps out if you watch us on the premium. It's usually a cleaner stream.
On the premium.
On the premium. So go over there, check us out. I'm going to click us on right now.
Boomer.
The video file is not working and being played. We're checking the ROKFIN.
Let's check.
Checking the ROKFIN. Holding for the ROKFIN. If not, we have a YouTube. Guys, there's 20 people there. It's the late night show. Yeah. We know there's a lot more people out there than this. Like, share, subscribe. Share this right here. We have a great show. Everybody's been going all day. They were talking to you on Jimmy today, fam. ROKFIN's not working. Go over to YouTube. We'll call ROKFIN in the morning. Don't worry about it. We'll get it working.
Well, we'll post it there.
We will. There's a great video over there right now, and we'll drop it on the YouTube later on, right? We'll premiere it, probably drop it tomorrow. Let's do it for the morning for the people who work, wake up, about how L.A. stole the election. Well, they didn't steal it, but took away, purged delegates away from...
The Democrats stole the election from...
Because L.A. is so Democrat. It's one of the most powerful Democrat clubs. So we got 27 of us. That's a great number joining on in. Share. We have a great show. We got a lot of things to talk about. Fam. You sharing it up?
Yeah, I'm just going to share it up real quick.
You share it up. I'll keep talking. We also have a GoFundMe. And that GoFundMe is going to help us out once the coronavirus is lifted for us to go out there and cover some primaries.
Yes.
The title of this one is Fam's Not Going to Florida, but who knows? Maybe she will. To cover the primary. We got to see what's going on. The coronavirus has kept everybody crazy. But we're in the midst of a primary season. A lot of things have happened. Last night was that debate with Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Tulsi Gabbard, even though she originally qualified, the DNC changed the rules.
Of course.
Isn't that a surprise to keep her off the stage? Hey, Jackson Fax, we love you. And therefore, Bernie and Biden went at it. What was your thoughts? Who do you think won last night?
So I would say Bernie won, but he didn't win like I wanted him to. He won because Joe Biden is Joe Biden. And he was Joe Biden did decent because he was able to make coherent sentences, and he was able to pretty much say the certain points he obviously got coached on to say. And Bernie Sanders should have came out stronger against him. He should have separated himself more. Joe Biden is the candidate of Wall Street, the candidate of the banks, the candidate that has lied time and time again. He's lying right now. Bernie kind of hinted at him lying, of saying, Joe, are you sure? I asked you this question, and I thought that was good, but he could have gone further. And with foreign policy, I liked Bernie, what he said. I don't think you did, but I liked what he said. I think he could have gone further, but again, I thought that was way better than anybody else in the Democratic field besides Tulsi. And I thought he actually talked about China and how they got lifted people out of poverty, and he talked about Cuba, and that's something that nobody else is daring to talk about. And I think it's tough when you are not placating, but focused on the Democratic base, which is highly pro-Russiagate, highly afraid of authoritarian leaders, but
when
doesn't
they're
look
authoritarian
at our own.
Themselves.
Right. But that's who he's talking to.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you know what? I do not like it. Like you said, it was the point of the thing where they said, "Oh, he did good. He's better than most, except for Tulsi Gabbard." Well, that's not good enough for me anymore. I'm sorry, but I'm saying once again, this whole thing, they frame those questions in a Cold War mentality, like putting people in corners and boxes, and he should have just stopped. High Freedom Tribe and flipped it against them and say, hey, listen, I'm not going to be. I mean, really, you're bringing up Cuba right now. Cuba. We're talking foreign policy, and you're bringing up Cuba. We're the ones who's been the aggressors. We're the ones who've had the secret empire. We're the ones who are waging these wasteful regime change wars, and we need to stop.
Even
and
Tulsi doesn't say that, though.
She says we need to stop these regime change wars.
She'll say regime change wars, but she's not going to attack the United States. I think if you attack the United States when you're running for president of the United States, it's just not going to go over well.
Well, Bernie did say that one time. Sometimes when you look at it, it's us. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When you say we have to stop these wasteful regime change wars, you're saying that we have to stop what we're doing it. You don't have to make, I mean, she's framing it in a great way. I think it is awesome. But she's saying that we're the cause of the problem. And a lot of people, since Marianne, we love you, Marianne Williamson, friend of the show, has, the one who tied about our foreign policy to the immigration process. We haven't had that.
Yeah.
And also, I did think Bernie had some great moments last night. Let me just kind of pile on to what you said, because yes, I liked a lot of parts where he went after Joe Biden and made him say he was a liar, but he didn't stick the knife in enough.
Right.
He didn't stick the knife in enough.
A lot of people agree with that,
He had to go after him. He had to take the gloves off. And I don't think once again, I think Bernie's intentions are great. I think that he has some beautiful ideas. He's always sticking up for workers, and I think that's awesome. But I don't think he has the heart to take the power that he needs to take.
I think,
and he's wrong in certain areas.
I think he's just is acting like, he's still like in the Senate, and he should be campaigning against Joe Biden. And that's the reality. I mean, he should be more adversarial to Joe Biden, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Joe Biden is having a super PAC attack Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders needs to kind of take the gloves off more. The majority of his people want him to do this. We have time and time again told him, Bernie, come on, take your gloves off, go after Joe Biden. And a lot of people are feeling a little bit down, not only because of that, but because of the upcoming primaries that we still have that we shouldn't have. We're in the middle of a pandemic here. We're in the middle of a crisis, an economic crisis that's really hurting more than the health crisis. I think is hurting, and combined with the health crisis is a complete disaster that's just going to get worse because Americans are not prepared. We don't have Medicare for all. We don't have the things that even a country like Italy has, and they're still suffering that way. Why? Because, they had a primarily older population. The younger populations left Italy because there wasn't much work there, and so they weren't equipped for that. But even they had Medicare for all. They are far more prepared than we were, believe it or not. And that's the reality, is that we don't have the resources to the allocation of the resources, because we have the money. This is the richest country in the world. The problem is we don't allocate our resources properly, and so that's what's causing a lot of people to lose their jobs, lose their homes, lose their houses, become homeless. We already have a homelessness crisis. It's not like Italy had a huge homelessness crisis like we do. We have that, plus what's happening now, where these landlords aren't freezing the rents, where the mortgages aren't being frozen, and where the states themselves aren't doing enough to curtail that. And it's ridiculous. They don't give a damn about Americans going through this time, not getting their paychecks, and then the small businesses are going to start falling apart, and those businesses employ other people, and so on and so forth. It's a mess.
Yes, and there's going to be even more problems, because once again, it doesn't make a difference sometimes if we have enough money. If there's not enough money to match the resources what we have, and you have a stack of money, but you can't buy the food because it's not available, or the water because it's not available, what are you going to do, eat your money? By the way, thank you so much, Michael Crash, for the Super Chat contribution. It is always appreciated on the couch. And this is what I'm talking about, fam. More people got to say this. And this is why I like Tulsi, because she says this. She talks in this tone. Cuba is on the front lines of the COVID-19 vaccine and treatment. Socialized medicine 1, capitalism 0.
It's interesting, though, because didn't Tulsi said she wasn't a fan of socialism or something like that?
Well, first again, this is kind of like, and I was there when she said it. That she doesn't see us turning into a socialized country. In other words, she doesn't believe in a full-blown socialism, which, here's the thing, fam. Through this whole time, Bernie Sanders hasn't been kind of nailing down that democratic socialism is still a capitalist system, right? It's a form of capitalism. The free market will exist. They're not going to force labor to own businesses. They're going to encourage it, but not force it.
But it's all about the means of production and who controls the means of production. And so for me, it's funny and ironic and sad that I'm seeing a lot of people like the Neapolitans talk about, we need to get everybody covered. This needs to be free. And, and then people like Tom Cotton, which we're going to talk about later. Tom Cotton is a right-winger, and he's all of a sudden advocating for a UBI. We're seeing a lot of these people only want these situations when in times of crisis. But that's not how it should work, America. We should already have this from the start and avoid the problems of rushing and trying to save us during this time. We should have our ideas, whether you want to call it left or whatever, our ideas of having everybody covered under healthcare, having no student debt, having all these basic things that all of these countries in Europe have that make them better equipped to deal with a pandemic of this nature. Yeah. And the reality is we don't have that because people have this idea that socialism is the boogeyman, that socialism is what happened under Stalin. And that's not the case. What happened under Stalin was authoritarianism. What's happening in Russia is authoritarianism. Putin isn't a socialist. He's a freaking right-wing nationalist, just like Donald Trump, just like the majority of our leaders that have vacated the United States presidency. The majority of them have been pretty much authoritarian in their ways.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is more of a nationalist, as we can see, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good thing. But like Pasta mentioned before, and like Bernie Sanders mentioned yesterday, China may be an authoritarian regime, but they were able to lift people out of poverty. Cuba might have had an authoritarian leader in Castro, but they were able to develop a huge medical program. They were able to have that in spite of our sanctions, in spite of the United States behavior towards them. And they were able to survive and get these people to a certain degree. And if you look at the shelves in a place like Cuba, yes, they all have the same brand of whatever soap or whatever cereal, but their shelves are stocked and full. Yeah. You go to our shelves here, they're completely wiped out because people are scared and they're hoarding things. And Johnny and I and our friend Eva went out, and we were out there like looking for potatoes and rice, and there was no potatoes or rice or eggs or any of that stuff.
You know what we need to do, fam? We have to stop talking about other countries being this and being that and being this and being that. Let's clean our own shit in our own house. Let's get our own country straight, because 9 times out of 10 when you talk about, oh, this is an authoritarian, oh, he's a right-wing nationalist, oh, whatever, meanwhile we're propping up the worst government in Saudi Arabia. Let's just stop for once. I really don't want to hear it anymore. China has been, the way they even dealt with the coronavirus, you know what I'm saying? We read about this. Just stop. They have moved people out of poverty. You know, education in Cuba was no joke. You have people who are driving cabs that are also doctors as well, and medicine. And they're on the front line, like you said, and they have the cure. We need to stop manufacturing consent to say this guy is evil or this country is evil, because that's the first thing they do, is they say this country, they Putinize them, make Putin evil, and therefore manufacture consent to put missiles all on the border of their country. It needs to stop. Let's bring it home. Fam, you got a lot of great stuff in here, and I want to get to it. First tweet of the day.
Right. So I just said, you posted this. I didn't post this. You all know we have a pandemic going on, but also they're rigging our elections and using this to do it. If our country wants to be the land of the free and curb the spread of this disease, we'll postpone the damn primaries. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we need to postpone the primaries. And this is what we're going to get into now, is like the reality is, oh, sorry, we see you. The
whole world is watching. The whole world is watching. Remember
1968?
Yes, the whole world is watching as the Chicago cops were beating the kids.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw the documentary with Melissa Michelson. Yeah. We watched it. It was
now we're not going to have it because of the coronavirus.
Don't say that. Don't say we're not going to have it, because this is the thing. We need to fight to have that convention, you guys. We cannot let them rob us of this convention. We cannot let them rob us of this election, because they're on their way. They're doing it. They don't care. Arizona, Illinois, and Florida are going to have their primaries. And let's talk about Ohio. I believe Ohio.
OHIO, right there.
So Ohio is, of course, a swing state. It is a state where, a lot of the times it determines who's going to win in the general. But CNN,
it's a big state.
Yeah, and CNN had reported fake news. The judge had denied the order to move Ohio elections to June 2nd, and CNN originally said the judge did say okay, which was false, and they were reporting fake news, and then they fixed it, and they said, okay, no, the court denies this, blah, blah, blah. But then what happens is the court, once they decided to deny this it was the Franklin County judge who denied this attempt. And I just want to point out to you guys, the judge who denied this was a Democrat. He was a Democrat, and the Republican that was seeking to postpone the primaries was obviously a Republican. And it's just funny because
right? DeWine.
Yeah, DeWine is his name.
Mike DeWine.
And it's funny because, with Democrats like that, who needs Republicans? Like, I mean, these people are, I don't know what's going on, but like, it's crazy. Why is the Democrat denying this? And all I can think of is, of course, early voting favors Joe Biden.
Of course.
And this
Why is that?
The trend we're going to see time and time again.
Early voting always favors
because older people are ahead of it.
Republican, moderate to Republican.
My parents voted yesterday or Saturday. They voted in Florida because they had early voting, and they voted for Bernie. But they're And my dad actually mentioned like how that he had to verify his signature because he told him like he said he made like a big scene because the pen wasn't working right, and he's like, no, you guys rig it, like I want to verify my signature, I want to make sure it's good.
Nice.
I mean, this is like, you know,
David.
this is why we having kids like me is like, you know, it's a good thing. But like, not everybody's like that, you know. The majority, and my dad's a boomer, so the majority of people who vote early are older, and they aren't necessarily going to be for Bernie.
You know, they used the hanging Chad in the Bush Gore election. They discredited a lot of ballots that way, and that was the argument, you know what I'm saying? Plus, they had the cross-reference. The way the Republicans stole that election was Katherine Harris in Florida using a cross-reference sheet. In other words, not separating somebody by the last name according to the prefix list. So if there was Mike Jones II, any Mike Jones in that county would not be able to vote because it was a felon. He was a felon and wouldn't let him vote. That's why they overturned it with the referendum when they changed it. That was from that moment. But after that, George Bush signed into play that all elections are supposed to be used through electronic machines. Therefore, there can be no marking or a ballot marking device of sorts. So it all dates back to then. It's so funny. Fam, her name was Amy Acton. It was a Republican. Once again, so let me get this straight, though, before I move on. So you're telling me that the early voting in Ohio, favored Joe Biden?
Well, I mean,
the late voting would favor Bernie Sanders?
I mean, usually that's how it is. The conservative votes come in first. You better
believe it. It's always that way.
Yeah.
It is always that way. 9 times out of 10. I remember there was that's the that one over there too is the her name is Amy Acton.
Yes.
She's the health administrator who kind of reported what was going on as far as, hey, you know, she said no elections, and that's good that she stepped in and did it. But once again, we want to point out it was a Republican governor and a Democratic judge who, you know, the judge said put it on because people are going to go out for the coronavirus, and Joe Biden would win Ohio that way.
You guys see what the judge said? He said delaying an election with so little notice would set a bad precedent.
Yeah.
That's why.
That was his excuse.
That's the reason why? That's fucking...
I don't buy it. That was an excuse because, well, it's just obviously an excuse. But then what happened was that they decided that, no, they weren't going to delay it. So for real this time, there is no Ohio primary on Tuesday as far as we know. So Amy, the one she was talking about was the one that said, no, we have to do it because of a health emergency. So
you want to read this?
She said, during this time when we face an unprecedented public health crisis, to conduct an election tomorrow would force poll workers and voters to place themselves at an unacceptable health risk of contracting coronavirus. And this is Mike DeWine in a statement. Yep. So I agree. I mean, I think it's not rocket science, you guys. How are you telling people to stay home and quarantine themselves, and then you're going to tell them to go vote in the primaries and exercise their democracy when you're reducing the number of polling stations, which means you're increasing the amount of people per polling station. You're increasing confusion because people don't know if they can vote or not, and it's just a mess. And the fact that they went back and forth until they decided like this is a thing is really sad. It makes us look like dumbasses.
But I'm glad it happened.
Yeah.
I'm glad, really, to tell you the truth, I hope I wake up in the morning and Arizona sends the news out like, hey, don't go out and vote. Don't go out and vote. They drive around with big ice cream trucks with megaphones, like Crow style. Stay in your house. Don't vote. Put it all over the TV. Put it all over the radio. Don't vote. Don't vote. Don't vote. Don't vote. Stay in. We're kicking the election back to a certain day. You know what I'm saying? They really should do that. That's what should be done, and it needs to be done with fam. The Price is Right was on, right? So I love this right here. There was a Jonny Tsunami at a station who was like, screw this shit, man. I'm exposing these son of a bitches, right? And what did they do?
Well, no, it was a woman was at her house watching The Price is Right, and her name was Sherry, and she was on Facebook, and she posted this whole video. And let's just play, because what this is Illinois station had broadcasted the election results today, when it's obviously before they have their primary, and the election showed Biden 50 and Bernie at 45. And supposedly it was a test. So, but more on that later. Let's just watch this video.
Today's date is Monday, the day before the Illinois election, and yet Channel 3 in Illinois accidentally put this on during Price is Right.
It's fucking hysterical at this point right now. It's hysterical. It was just a test. Bull.
So according to a statement made by WCIA, that's the station's name.
Yeah.
In Chicago, they accidentally broadcasted a test data where Biden was declared the winner in the middle of the Price is Right. And here's a picture of their what they said, and he said, "We do routine test rehearsals before every election to make sure the graphics work properly and give directors some practice. The error was in putting the dry run on air. That shouldn't have happened, and we're looking into it. Obviously, we never intended to give the wrong information or wrong impression. None of those numbers were based on any real polling returns. Since your post is being widely shared, I'd appreciate it if you would consider updating the original post so people don't get the wrong idea." And she also got a message from the WCIA 3 News. "Sorry, it was an error by our team. We are currently doing election rehearsals with test data, and it's not intended to go on TV. We apologize for any inconvenience." And that was the news director. So, but there are no records of this really ever happening. I mean, there's records of people doing it, but and if you work in news, it's really not a valid point. So this woman her name is Katie Power, and she worked in news, and she said, "This is seriously shady. This video comes from a relative of a friend I know in real life who posted it to her story, and it's gone viral. I've worked on and off in news/promo on-air broadcasts for many of my 20 plus years in post-production for film and TV. Graphics that go on air have already been approved, and they don't need special testing. Graphics can also be done from the control room, but these don't look different than any other day-to-day segment. As for the directors, news directors needing special attention to do routine segments with graphics, I seriously doubt it. News crew who work behind the scenes are experts in what they do, and they have to be, because the pace of the work is often frantic and involves last-minute changes as news evolves. What aired below doesn't look any different than any other broadcast. I have never seen a news segment that would warrant any special treatment outside of the normal workflow, except for maybe multi-camera live shoots like an election debate. The WCI explanation doesn't pass the smell test."
Boom.
So this is from someone that's worked in the news, also that knows the person. And I believe her, because we produce stuff here. When Johnny gets something, it's mostly pre-approved, but when at the last minute you can add something, it just doesn't make any sense. I mean, we're not like a newsroom, but in newsrooms that is what you do.
And let's just say, they got millions of dollars to friggin' make sure this shit's right.
Exactly. What, you're gonna put up a graphic and it wasn't approved? Like, exactly what she said.
Yeah, exactly what she said.
Yeah. So
Silver Surfer says, "I think Ohio is off again." Yes, it is, but guess what? We have found the results for Illinois tomorrow. You don't have to go and vote, because it looks like Joe Biden has won. Fam, do you really think this is like, I mean, come on, guys. Let me ask you this question, because people will be like, if David Atkins was here, he'd be like, "Oh, come on. They made a mistake. They were practicing for tomorrow."
That's such bullshit.
I mean, what do you really think about it, honestly?
No, it's
bullshit. They're
bullshit.
lying. They're trying to...
My original thought was that some guy leaked it on purpose.
Yeah.
But then now I'm thinking, it wasn't an error. It couldn't have been an error.
I still think somebody leaked it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think it was like what they were supposed to put up tomorrow. They already knew. They were given the information. So the guy went ahead and did the graph, and then somebody else saw that shit, thought it was bad, and put it out there.
I agree, because here's the thing. What happened in a lot of states, including California, was where we've seen like the 1% reporting, and we've seen the winner. We saw that. And it's been happening time and time again. 1% reporting, Joe Biden wins Mississippi. 1% reporting, he won South Carolina.
0% reporting, and he won South Carolina.
I mean, it's ridiculous. So the only explanation to where a news station can do that is because they have the information from early voting counts.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't do that. They're not supposed to, actually. And so that's the reality.
Well, if there's fuckery going on in Chicago, there's fuckery going on in O-Town, right? That's
Absolutely.
where you guys are from.
Okay.
What I got in O-Town, fam?
Fam, this is why I wanted to go to Florida, and, I wanted to risk it, because I know they're corrupt. And according to the Orlando Sentinel, they did a test election results page. And this is just a test election, you guys. Elections results test, March 10th.
At least they have the decency to lie about
the
their
page
shit.
is a test of the Tribune's 2020 election results system. The data is not real. Some Associated Press data is taken from March to races. Here is a test link here. And then it has Joe Biden with this number of 986,341, 52.5, and Bernie Sanders with 893, 249, 47.5%. Then it has a Republican as well. And
those are at 0.
Right. It's just funny to me. They could have a test result and make them both at 0. But of course they decide to have Joe Biden winning in this test result. Some people are just going to look at that newspaper or that article or that website and be like, oh, Joe Biden's winning. Okay.
You guys really believe
people
that Joe
do
Biden
that.
is winning out there, ladies and gentlemen? Come on.
I don't. In
This is
Florida,
kinda
I don't know. But
ridiculous.
It's the
that's
news,
the
Bob.
reality.
Yeah.
This is what they do on purpose. They do this on purpose because, unfortunately, perception is reality to a lot of people. And when they perceive that Joe Biden is the guy to beat Trump, this is what they're going to do. This is how they're going to vote. And it's really, really disgusting and unnerving that this isn't being called out in the mainstream media or anywhere else, because it's funny because the mainstream media is who's doing it. But not enough of our independent media are calling this out. Not enough of people are talking about election integrity. We're one of the few people who have spoken about election integrity. And thank you, Jimmy Dore, by the way, for featuring the things I've been saying, because a lot of people are completely silent. It doesn't matter how many great videos you have about how awful Joe Biden is. It doesn't matter because people are still going to vote for him. Yeah. They're going to vote for him. Well, why? Because the reality is these elections are manufactured to make this guy win. It's voter suppression. It's voter election fraud, not voter fraud. It's election fraud, voter suppression. And I want to make sure we clear the differences in that, because a lot of people have been conflating all of this. Yeah. Election fraud is when the government or somebody does something to manipulate our elections, whether it's like through
put
the
a code in the machine,
codes, any sort of number switching, all of that. Yeah. Voter suppression is when they close down polling stations like they are in these upcoming states, creates long lines, creates when they don't staff properly, when they have 2 people running.
That's all done by design.
A college campus, those things like that. Voter fraud, which is what Republicans tend to claim is like the huge issue for being really strict and asking for IDs, is when a person votes twice or a person votes for a dead person. That is very, very rare and often never happens.
Fam.
Yeah.
You know what I just realized?
What?
These 2 numbers are the same. 986,341 in the TV one for Biden. And then if you go to the Orlando Sentinel one, 986,341.
Wow.
And then if you look at Sanders, 893,249. 893,249. It says Illinois, too.
Interesting.
That's
Key
interesting.
Florida contestants. Test vote. It's weird.
They have the same number.
Breaking news. They have the same number.
Oh, Jesus.
Guys,
Jesus.
If they have the same number, there's no doubt in my mind that this is like what they were planning on putting out.
Those are 2 different news publications.
Yeah, I know.
This is what they're planning on putting out.
Well, they're going to just say that
tomorrow.
one was taken off the other to use for the test results because they saw it. It's weird, though. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff. That's the election fraud.
Yeah,
taking place. That's the election fraud.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
And once again, the video that we're going to drop, the one I just put out, number 8, talks about the closed source and the open source and how they can just change the numbers from within. That's I believe they're doing a great deal of that's going on across the country because we have no open source material. But fam, the voter suppression, they saw it in Arizona, they saw it in New York. It works to the T. The early voting is going to favor Joe Biden. The later voting is going to vote Bernie Sanders if they can suppress that vote, which I think is election fraud anyways. Yeah. I feel if the state is committing voter suppression, it is election fraud.
And so what's going to happen tomorrow is half the people think, oh, my God, I can't vote. I can't risk my life. I'm going to be coronavirus. Whether you think it's overreaction or not, a lot of people are going to think twice before they go out there. And if their polling stations have been cut and now they're further away, which is what I've been hearing from my friends in Illinois, that the polling station are now 18, 20 miles further than originally. That's going to create an issue because on top of the coronavirus stuff happening, they're going to have to go figure out where the hell they're supposed to vote. It's a mess. And they're not going to want to wait in
line, fam. How long are they going to? That's the thing. You're going to want to sit in a line with the coronavirus out there for 3 hours. First of all, people can't even do that anyways. Like I said, they got 2 jobs. They got to have a babysitter. All these things. You suppress that late vote. If you can create jams and lines. And do you really believe, ladies and gentlemen, that if we wanted to run a smooth voter system, that we can't have it easy peasy, people in and out and stuff? That's why open primaries, when people talk about open primaries, it's important. Open primaries cause less provisional ballots, less voter suppression, because there's less registration issues. If you're a Republican, a Democrat, an MPP, it doesn't make a difference. If it's an open primary, you get a regular ballot. You don't get a provisional ballot. Plus, if you have an open primary in a Democratic state and you're having a Democratic open primary, it forces you to talk to the other side.
Right.
Just like Tulsi did today to get a vote for a UBI.
Absolutely.
Fam,
Real quick,
yes.
before we do that, we got to do my little segment.
All right.
All right. So,
Where's the segment? What am I gonna? I gotta read some
Orlando Sentinel. They can do a little test like that and everything.
Yes. Where's my thing? We're not gonna.
They can do a little test like that. Well, you guess what? We can too.
All right.
So here's the test. Boom. Test.
Okay, I got it. Test. Here's the test. Fam, test. Results are in. Does Orlando Sentinel shill for neoliberals? Where's Tim Johnson? Yes, 98%. No, 1%. And 55%. What the fuck, ladies and gentlemen? That's right. Test results are in. Johnny, you should have had music going.
I know.
What else you got? Give me something else to read.
That's it.
Oh,
That's
wait,
it.
Johnny, I have something from my friend who just gave me something from Chicago, and I'll put it in right now. Let me see if I can grab it.
While you're putting it in, I'm going to talk about what Aaron Matei put up, if that's okay.
Those percentages add up to 100, by the way.
No, they don't.
I know.
No, they don't.
I know.
They add up to
That's the point.
154.
That's the point. It's a fugazi test.
It's
just
a
like their
fugazi.
fucking
These are
shit.
fugazi elections.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh my God! What they did in Los Angeles to help Joe Biden out, and that's the thing. We live here. Joe Biden couldn't even come. He didn't even go to either Democratic conventions, ladies and gentlemen. He had no ground game. You really want to believe he came out of this state with 25%? Well, that's a bunch of malarkey.
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Aaron, you got it there?
That's a bunch of malarkey.
Thank you so much. Aaron Matei, okay, he had a tweet, and this is kind of important, fam.
It is.
We both jumped on this today. I kind of jumped on somebody who was on that thread and went after them. Before a pandemic, there was a time when there were relentless who told fear.
When we were relentless.
When we were relentless, sorry. There was a time when we were relentless, told to fear Russian social media accounts. Their juvenile memes not only elected Trump, but also sowed chaos. When Mueller indicted 13 Russians over it, he was hailed as a hero. Well, the Department of Justice just dropped this case. The case. There it is. Fam, they dropped the case.
Right, exactly. And so I just want to point out that not only with this pandemic going on, that they're not paying attention to Russiagate, that they're dropping the case. As soon as Joe Biden started, quote, surging and started winning states, they completely erased the whole Russiagate is influencing the Democratic Party. They completely did, because when Bernie was winning, that's when they were like, oh, Bernie's using Russians and his supporters are using Russians and blah, blah, blah. But as soon as the guy that they wanted to kind of come and lead starts leading, they're like, oh, no, Russiagate, yeah, no.
I remember when this case first hit and Mueller indicted 13 people, right? And he just put it out there so the mainstream media, like, here goes Rachel Maddow, we should play it, just goes off on it, whatnot, and everything like that. But then they show up to court, the representatives, the lawyers for the 13 Russians, and the troll farm, which they claim, which was like a social media company. And the Mueller team was so caught off guard, they had to ask for an extension to kick it back. They didn't think they would show up in court, and they did. Well, now the DOJ has dropped the case. They've gotten their asses handed to them in this case.
Absolutely.
What you got?
So can you? It's right underneath, fam. The thing above Aaron Matei. Yeah,
right
that
there.
one.
There, that green.
Yeah.
What
So
is this?
this is from a friend who got this in the mail. Can you not show their name? Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, not in the mail. All right, what is that?
And it said, this is troubling. So I got this in the mail, and they changed their polling place. So my polling place was a block away. Now it's 18 miles away. I have the feeling there's going to be a lot of confusion tomorrow.
Where's this at?
This is in Chicago, Illinois.
So she got this letter in the mail. It looks like it says, "Dear voter, this is to notify that we had to move your polling place either because the previous location was not accessible or was no longer available."
Mm-hmm.
Wow. We apologize for any inconvenience this may cause you. Your polling place for the March 17th, 2020 general primary election is Rolling Meadows Courthouse.
18 miles away.
From initially.
18 miles away. You know what I mean? That means that if for all the people to show up, for the progressives or the liberal voted to want to vote for Bernie Sanders, that will be consolidated in one huge friggin' area. Yeah. And they're not going to do it, dude. Once again, this is voter suppression.
And this is
right
the day before the election.
They should push these fucking elections back, fam.
Absolutely.
This is disgusting. They should push them all back one day in June.
Fuck,
super huge Tuesday. The rest of the freaking things on that day. Why can't they do that? This is our democracy.
There's
our
only
democracy.
There's only a pandemic going on.
Oh, that's it.
That's
coronavirus.
That's
only 140 on there, guys. We know we can do better. Share this stream real quick. I'm going to flick you on.
12 a.m.?
At 12 a.m., we can do better. We know you're all up cracked out late. That's the thing you have up next right there, fam.
Is that the breaking?
Okay. So we have breaking news because Ilhan Omar stands with AOC and Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, she don't stand with it. First of all,
hold
she
on.
ain't standing with AOC.
Shut up. Hold
standing
on.
for Tulsi's
Hold your
UBI.
horses. She's standing for Tulsi's UBI.
Thank
we
you.
have shut up. Let me do this. You're so annoying. And so this is Ilhan Omar's status. Oh, this wasn't the one.
The same
no,
thing
that's
up?
not the
She
same.
said we need an emergency UBI now.
Yeah. Okay.
13 hours
and
ago.
then Nicole Fisher asked her, said, "Hey, consider Tulsi's House Resolution 897.
Please co-sponsor.
Yes.
And blah blah blah." And she
showed
said,
aloha.
"I have the system. The system hasn't updated yet." So this is Ilhan Omar saying she's supporting Tulsi's
As of this morning, 10:54 a.m.
897. And
but the
this
system
is
hasn't updated. It will.
Okay, so then what kind of made this whole situation weird is that AOC went on and had this whole status saying, "Be careful with the UBI proposals you see popping up. They are not all created equal, and they can have large macroeconomic, inflationary, and systemic effects." Which is like, I don't know about that, because that's capitalism.
We were trying to see
She's being
what
like,
it really
Proposals should be weighed in a larger policy mix, including payment suspensions, jobs guarantee, unemployment extension. And I agree with all that. Okay. So people were like attacking her because they were like, "What, Tulsi Gabbard, da da da," like, and it was really confusing because it seemed like she was talking about that. But it turns out she wasn't, because Tulsi is leading with this UBI with bipartisan support to the dismay of some.
Yep.
Tulsi has been endorsed, or her UBI has been endorsed by AOC, and she names her right there. Well, she doesn't name Ilhan, but she names Tom Cotton, Mitt Romney, AOC, with others joining my efforts of the House Resolution 897 to implement a hashtag emergency UBI of $1,000 per month, tax-free for every American adult during this crisis. With bipartisan support in the House and Senate, we can do this. And here's the thing. She does need bipartisan support to pass this, because unfortunately the majority of our Congress is Republican. And so we're going to need to have that bipartisan support. And Tom Cotton is, she shared an article with Tom Cotton in it, and it says he calls for monthly cash payments to Americans during coronavirus pandemic. Okay, so Tom Cotton is a Pentagon guy, a CIA guy. He is pretty much to the right, way to the right of Donald Trump. I mean, he's a huge right-winger. And so I'm sure a lot of people are going to have issues with this. She shared an article that features Tom Cotton. I mean, I think it's kind of like talking about, the UBI thing. Like, oh my God, there's a Republican that's siding with somebody like Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
But that's the short term interest. Like, that's like the micro interest. Oh, great, a Republican siding with us. But then we have to look at people like Neera Tanden, who are also calling for a sort of, we need healthcare. We need to give everybody healthcare. We need to make these medicines free. And so my thing is, everybody should have been on this a long time ago, way before we led to a crisis. These people are now just sort of jumping into this because it's going to make them look good, because it's going to make them look like an asshole if they don't support at least a UBI during this pandemic. So while I support Tulsi and her getting all of this through, because she has to have bipartisan support in order to this, I think it's important we remember that we that these people should have been behind this all along.
Okay, but we have to understand we have to deal with the epidemic now. We have to have solutions.
Nobody's
right
saying
now.
that we're not going to deal
but
with that.
once again, I understand that it could have been done months ago. And first of all, Tulsi was the only person talking about the coronavirus
Absolutely.
months ago, way
Absolutely.
before anybody else. She also cited how the foreign policy and the sanctions in Iran, how it's a huge problem because it's not just for Iran. But right now we need decisions and we need to make it done. This isn't done yet, ladies and gentlemen. This
No,
is
it's
going to
not.
take work to get through. You're going to have people on the left like Nancy Pelosi and Adam Schiff who will be blocking this, and they'll be using this mentality that they're working with Republicans to try to get it done.
Yep.
Who cares? At a time of a crisis right now, stop playing politics. Stop talking about tribal issues. Get it done, okay? I don't care who stands on this passing this bill right now. The important thing is to get money and resources into the working people's pockets right now so we can
Absolutely.
buy food and whatnot.
Absolutely.
So for once, for all you people out there, stop playing politics. And for all you Tulsi people who are hating on AOC, stop it. I don't give a shit because I don't agree with a lot of things that AOC has done. And I thought she was kind of going after Tulsi Gabbard when she made that statement. But you know
Yeah.
what? If she's on it, then good. Positive. She's being an ally in this moment for this issue. And also, ladies and gentlemen, when this does go through, welcome to the Tulsi Gabbard party, because here comes a real leader.
Oh,
Comes a
God.
real. No, this is big. If this gets through, right here.
If it gets through,
It's
it's
big.
really, it's great. I mean, I
Huge.
think it'll be good. However, I think we also need to address the reality of who is going to be trying to get credit for this. And like, at the end of the day, we need to be mindful of who is coming into the forefront and calling themselves a progressive or calling themselves whatever. I think we need to be careful
They're
of
gonna
that.
get
I
that
think
check.
the majority, the reality is that we need to pass this because American people need help. We need $1,000 is barely anything anymore. That should have been, it should be $2,000.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, I
But
mean,
in her bill, it goes until the crisis ends too. So it's
Yeah.
So we'll get it month after month. Listen, if the $1,000 comes through and we somehow find a way to break through and have a lot of resources handed out, because once again, we're not even talking about the fact that you can have all this money but not enough resources. You're gonna eat your cash because there's nothing to buy. We don't make shit here in America anymore, so we have to see, because we're not out of the woods yet. But if the money comes through and it allows us to pay our landlords, keep our places, and just hold the line until we get back into our society and we get running again, then so be it. And when people get that check, they'll be like, how do we get this check? Well, it's HRES 897. Well, it's a resolution right now, but they're going to have to put it into words. The resolution is the first part, and that's the thing. The resolution's here. Once they do the bill, somebody else is going to take credit for it.
right. And here's the thing. There's still a way for it to go through. I mean, people are still going to have to work through. I'm
Senate?
sure he doesn't agree
Yeah.
with the way. It's funny because it's seeing AOC and Ilhan Omar working with a right winger, and it's like, what? Like, it's weird to me. I mean, but we also have to look at, like,
I think that's why Tulsi made that tweet, to show that she can garner bipartisan support.
I agree.
Like,
I think that's what she was
far right
doing.
people like Tom Cotton, Mitt
But
Romney, and
is-
far left people like AOC. Because if you look at the right, how they view AOC,
Yeah, they despise her.
they despise her.
Yeah. And so, but the thing is, like, I just think, like, you just have to look at the bigger picture too. So, like, what if this passes? Who is going to say? Is the Republicans are going to be like, oh, I am the one? We are the ones giving the working class everything. We are the ones leading. You know, we have to be careful as to how this is going to be portrayed. But I 100% agree that the first thing in the world that needs to happen is we need to pass this in this country. We need to pass this UBI. We need to get people their money. People are literally losing their homes. They're losing their jobs. They're really running out of money. Businesses are falling. I think it's important to, understand that we need to pass this stat. And I'm glad that she was able to get the support, because she's going to need Republicans to support her. I mean, I don't know why they're doing it, But that's weird to me. Like, why are they doing
It's
this?
not weird to me.
It is weird to me because
they represent their constituents. Just because they believe in different issues that are different that we hold so dearly doesn't mean they don't care about
there's
people.
a difference between
So,
believing in different issues and having a completely different moral compass, though.
I understand, but people's moral compasses are different, okay? And once again,
Right.
just somebody who,
So-
a right-wing Christian who's against abortion doesn't make him evil. He's wrong, but it doesn't make him evil. And that's the problem, is that our side tribalizes and it goes and said they're evil for their thoughts rather than saying they're wrong and let's work together.
But that's not the only thing he's done, Pasta.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it's not. But everybody on the left has done evil things too, including supporting a bloody regime change in the
Absolutely.
Ukraine. There's blood and shit to
Absolutely.
go around for everybody.
Yep.
But at a point when somebody comes and makes a right decision, I don't care what decisions they made in the past that are wrong. If they're making a right decision at that moment in time, just like when Trump went and talked to Kim Jong-un, they're making a right decision.
I disagree. I
They're
mean, I
doing it
think
for the right
the
reasons.
decisions in the past definitely matter. I don't think the ends justify the means. I mean, I think I'm gonna be wary of people in general. Like, if Nancy Pelosi were to jump in on this, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, what's wrong with that? Like, there's obviously something wrong here. I am always going to look at why these people are doing this, why somebody does something matters, which is why I can be okay with Trump, not being as much of an interventionist as Hillary Clinton, but I'm still not going to be like, oh yeah, Trump was so great, because I know the difference between somebody doing it for themselves and somebody doing it for the greater good. And to me, that matters. I'm not okay with people just doing stuff.
Yeah, but we're never going to know those things 1,000% for sure. Maybe Trump is into peace with certain countries. We don't know. The fact he went to Kim Jong-un and talked to him, regardless of his motivations or not, it's a good thing. We need to talk peace. Anybody who signs on this to UBI, including a Nancy Pelosi, which, first of all, fam, I think she's going to go directly against that.
Yeah.
Her and Adam Schiff. No, they'll get the money through for the big banks and the corporations. When it comes to people, they'll tell them to go shut up.
Yep.
So anyways, but you also have Governor J.B. Pritzker. What's this about? I didn't even look at this.
Pritzker.
Can you say it again?
Pritzker. Yeah. Why are you fucking laughing at me? You're so dumb.
The way you said it the first time was funny. Sorry, go ahead.
Because I thought it said Pritzner, but it's Pritzker.
Yes.
So JB Pritzker, you know what? You fucking mispronounce shit all the time.
I know.
And it's like,
But that's like a tongue, because you said Pritzner.
I thought it was
Hey,
an N.
JB, you're a Pritzner.
You're a Pritzner.
And for Joe,
Pritzker endorsed Joe Biden and then simultaneously decided that he wouldn't be canceling the Illinois Tuesday primaries. Now, he's not the only one that obviously has say in the primaries. The Secretary of State does as well. But it's interesting how he is just so adamantly against. He has been asked by his constituents to postpone the primaries, to make this happen later. I just think it's funny that he just happens to support Joe Biden, who is going to get the majority of support when it comes
they
to
got those votes already
early
counted.
votes. And
counted.
we already put in, the girl that has to go 18 miles from her original polling place to go vote in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of everything. It's just not going to go well for Bernie.
Abu says, what a lousy Pritzner. I agree. What a Pritzner. What a lousy Pritzner.
Pasta's a Pritzner.
But that's the thing, fam. They do have that early voted. All those mail-ins are in. They can sit there. They can look at them, like in Arizona, like in Ohio, like in Pritzner, Illinois. And, they know they got the lead. So if they suppress that late vote, they got it.
Yeah.
They got it.
And it's funny because he also criticized Trump for the long lines at the airport, but he can't control his own city because the airport is in Chicago O'Hare. Chicago O'Hare was experiencing horribly long lines at the airport where people were waiting hours because they were through screenings. And it's kind of crazy because I was almost going to travel and it was really, really cheap. And now it's like, what's the point of traveling for cheap if you're going to be there for like a day just trying to get through?
Yeah, it's going to be hours in the screening. Guys, we have 161 people joining us on the Convo Couch YouTube. That's really nice. We should have over 200, even though if it is almost midnight. It's the late show. It's good for that way, but I want more, ladies. Share, share, share. So, fam, while we're talking about election and have all this great stuff in there, let's talk about the election rigging spin. Now, the reason why I put this article up, because I remember reading this article years ago, and it was in the Newsweek, okay? And it was like 3 months after the convention, after the Democratic convention, where we saw Hillary Clinton come out. I was so just disgusted, like just hearing her talk at that convention and trying to be all like Bernie Sanders and stuff. Now, take a look at the 5 elections that they have real quick over there. Now, this was just after 2016. Would you, yes or no? Do they put the 2016 primary in there? No, that's the answer. They never do. They put 1800 John Adams versus Thomas Jefferson and Aaron Burr. 1824 John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson. 1876 Rutherford B. Hayes, Samuel Tilden. 1960 Kennedy versus Nixon. And 2000 George Bush versus Al Gore. We talk about Operation Mockingbird, okay? How the media is out there for propaganda. They push this kind of notion that Hillary Clinton really won the 2016 primaries.
It's just funny.
We went through this whole thing. WikiLeaks proves otherwise. And they have whole articles. And like I said this all the time, like, you know, Bernie Sanders should go and thank Julian Assange for putting out all this information. You know, the whole thing is who released the emails, who took them. A lot of people see Seth Rich. Johnny said that out loud. Say it into the microphone, Johnny. Who took them? Who gave the DNC? Who stole the DNC emails?
Separate.
Okay. Russia is who the DNC says, you know, and once again, Julian Assange handed us the truth on a silver platter. Now, with Arizona coming up, fam, I want to talk a little bit more about Arizona. Remember 2016?
Arizona.
Remember that?
Yeah.
The long lines. Primary problems go way beyond long lines, and I love this one. This was in the Huffington Post because, wouldn't you know, fam, it says Jennifer Robbins' appalling experience with the Arizona election process illustrates just how chaotic the state's presidential primary was on Tuesday. And it goes through this whole story. And I'm just going to go down. Robin insisted to scan her card again because they scanned her card, and they said, it's not working. You're not in the system. She signed up 4 days before the deadline. Sound familiar to people here in Los Angeles that we caught out? Remember that one? Eagle Rock? They were there. They had the screenshot. They said, scan it again, and it came up a Republican. And the poll worker then suggested a provisional ballot. This is when you have a closed primary.
Yep. Things
are going on. Now, also, they closed 70% of the polling places. You just had a video go viral where the guy couldn't do it. He had to walk off. This is kind of, he's thinking about what happened. Fam, I also have a video in here. Remember when the people went cray-cray in Arizona? A little 1-minute video. Check it out. You're going to love this,
Then
guys.
a recorder goes out and blames the voters for this. How dare you blame us for this?
She called me. She was in tears because they were telling her that her vote wasn't going to count.
While I was there, I oversaw the Iraqi elections with the military police unit, and I got to tell you, they did it much better in Baghdad, Iraq, than what happened last Tuesday.
I waited 6 hours and 15 minutes to vote. Okay, 45 minutes to park, 5.5 hours in line. We ordered pizza twice while waiting. I want a federal investigation and a nonpartisan recount of this entire vote. We need another day of voting, okay? We need to count all provisional ballots, okay? That's what we need to do.
The corruption has become so established that it got comfortable. So comfortable that it got lazy. So lazy that you got caught. No more voter suppression can be tolerated in Maricopa County. We demand that our votes be counted. We demand a revote on June 7th with an open primary. Current corruption needs to be held accountable.
And they're going to have the same thing happen again.
It's going to happen again, you guys.
Maricopa County, fam.
It's Maricopa County.
What? You know,
Maricopa County is the most Democratic county. Just like, actually, I forgot to mention that the Illinois county where that station was set up is a very, very pro-Bernie area. And so is Maricopa. So, guys, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this out. I mean, Johnny figured it out, but I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure it out. It's really, really obvious. And she talked about it being lazy. They got even lazier at this point. I mean, this is more blatant than it's ever been. And to deny that there's not only voter suppression, but also voter fraud is at this point being in denial of reality. Nobody's going to convince me that Joe Biden has more votes in King County, Washington State, than Bernie Sanders.
Jeez.
No,
well, that was Dean
way.
Logan's old stomping territory.
And guess what?
Over there.
And there's 90,000. My Washington peeps just told me there's 90,000 ballots that still have yet to be counted for mismatched signatures and things like that. This is why my dad was freaking out about the signatures, because here's the thing: if they anything that's off, they're like, no, like this isn't validated, and they're gonna throw it
Just
out.
like the provisional ballots we saw the other day when we went up to that room. How many? That they wouldn't show you. That's half the ballots. They have them all there in another room. They'll move them over, whatever. They were all over the place. And remember the guy slamming down his head, we need to count all provisional ballots. They do this shit all the time. It's their number one weapon, the elites, the establishment. Let me mess with the registrations. What Ruben Major told me, it's like the registration, something's off, okay? Something's happening. They're not even updating them. They're moving them around. What's going on? He's trying to grab the voter file then and the voter file now so that we can cross-reference. But once again, this guy's slamming down. We need to count all provisional ballots. Okay, that's what they do. Provisionals is another big weapon through the registration process and the way they screw you, and they did it right here in Los Angeles, mainly to the Latino vote. Fam just shared my Twitter the other day. Thank you so much. From the night we went in there and I started yelling because they wanted to give this guy a provisional. They gave these people provisional ballots because the machines weren't working. So they had all the data and the information that happened in 2016. The same people in 2016, Alex Padilla and Dean Logan, doing it again. And fam, New York's coming up.
Yep.
How about a little Brooklyn purge? Remember this one? Remember this WikiLeaks? No, the Mother Jones one. Thank you. The story of the greater Brooklyn purge keeps getting weirder. Okay. 120,000 votes were purged. Yep. What happened? And what they start doing, they started blaming each other. Republicans, Democrats, Republicans. One person got suspended. Nobody knew who to blame. Nobody knew what's going on. And guess what? Go down a little bit, Johnny, because I want to read the one paragraph. I don't even think I put it in there. I have it off to the side. Let me go. Here, let me pull it up. This is this great paragraph right here. And it starts with... Hold on. Fuck.
There's still people claiming that Brooklyn, that wasn't true, that they were all counted. There's still, even some of them Bernie supporters still think that all of that was counted. It's insane. Like, I mean, I don't know what it's going to take for us to finally be like, okay, there's something wrong here.
Yeah, I mean, they said, according to the thing in Brooklyn, this one town, 60,000 Democrats were moved off the polls. It was like 120 complaints. And this is New York City comp controller, Scott M. Stinger, has opened an investigation into the matter, and the New York State Attorney General election, Eric Scheiderman announced that his office had received more than 1,000 complaints about the election, who would also look into alleged improprieties by the New York City Board of Elections. And literally they had problems with people falling asleep, provisional ballots, closed. Oh, here it is. The voter purge was just one of the several problems with the primary throughout the city. Voters also reported long lines, polling locations that didn't open, and in one case, an election worker was asleep on the job. It was like it was just another shit show of things to happen, right?
Yep.
And then we got your girl over here, the last one, because Florida's coming up too, right?
Yep.
Oh, my Lord. Tomorrow. They're still going through with it.
Well, tomorrow is the presidential, but the Debbie Wasserman Schultz race is not till later.
That's weeks and stuff. But Broward's election supervisor illegally destroyed ballots at Wasserman Schultz race. The judge rules. Debbie Wasserman Schultz ran the DNC. She was a Clinton supporter through and through.
Yep.
Just like de Blasio in New York. Clinton supporter last time. Through and through. Okay? Alex Padilla, Clinton supporter through and through. Isn't it just odd? Now, the federal judge even said that they destroyed the ballots illegally. And guess what? She just recently got replaced.
Yep.
Just recently got replaced, and that was
crazy. The Democratic
crazy.
Party is a party of gangsters.
Yeah.
They're just gangsters. They're just corrupt fucking mafia gangsters.
And remember that the last time they cheated him when they they also did this thing, Tim Canova. That was when during the general election because he ran as an independent out of their primary to make sure that he can take on Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and then they cheated him again.
And fam, so during an apocalypse, a lot of people get freaked out. We've seen the shelves being completely wiped. We've seen a lot of shenanigans. We've also seen people line up in LA, progressive county that should be very democratic and anti-gun, lining up to buy guns, fam.
Well, where's that? Oh, man, that's in LA? I thought that was in Florida.
Nope, it's LA.
You guys see people buying guns, I think it's Florida. Sorry to my Florida peeps out there.
The red cement?
Yep, it's LA right there. Look at that
Damn.
line. Yep.
Who do we know that has a gun? I can cook. Come protect us. Johnny, what's with the Biden rigging graphic here?
What Biden rigging graphic?
Oh, that's the same one.
So,
all right.
I mean, okay, so other than guns, we've been to multiple stores and all the meat section is gone, the potatoes are gone, the canned foods are gone.
The potato famine.
The toilet paper has been long gone.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that.
They're making cakes out of it.
I get nervous when I hear about toilet paper missing.
Pasta, stop. God,
man,
geez.
Especially the kind with the cottonelle, the aloe, that's the best one. I need a deuce too, Anthony.
Definitely cutting this out of the clips.
Okay. What's the next one?
Well, we got the last one pretty much as Seema Hernandez and Neera Tanden went at
So
it.
what happened here? I'm totally missed
This
that.
was Eva's story. Eva, what happened over here? She just even just smiles. She's over there hanging out with Boomer.
Your euphemisms are something else.
Euphemisms.
The place to measure enthusiasm
I love
is at
that
the
word.
ballot box, and respectfully, Biden is turning out more voters.
Euphemisms.
Neera Tanden.
Let me tell you something
Neera
about
Tanden
your
is saying.
euphemisms. What's the euphemism? Neera Tanden says. Voting in the primaries are surging past 2016 with a strong coalition of African Americans and suburban voters. Biden is winning both groups. He is also winning white non-college voters and women. The voting surge is helping Biden, not Sanders, decisively. Like really, the vote. Like they
She's
want
a
you to
fucking-
believe this
oh,
shit.
God, I can't
This woman
stand
right
this
here,
woman.
Neera Tanden, who had her emails from WikiLeaks all over the place, just shows you everything. Go to that WikiLeaks article, ladies and gentlemen. We put it up, 2016, about how they stole the elections.
I can't.
I
She's
think
I
there's
can't
links
with
to
her.
all the other things you can read through. A lot of those
I want
things.
her to block me, but she won't. So
That's when I was at nights, just standing there, just reading those things off. The DNC WikiLeaks.
thank you,
email
Sema,
drops.
for going after her because people need to go after her. I mean, she's just a dumbass.
Fam, we don't say that on the show.
Excuse me? Shut up. I'm
Okay.
gonna say what I want. She's a dumbass. She's a hack. She doesn't deserve the job she has. She deserves to be completely just.
Look what Seema said after that. She said, your enthusiasm over voter suppression and election fraud.
Yep.
I get it. It's a real turn on for you elitist types.
Wow.
And that's got more likes.
Love Summer.
Hashtag Slade.
Do they make cannabis-infused toilet paper yet? Because Matthew Brest will calm your ass down, he says. Cannabis-infused toilet paper.
Jesus Christ, pasta. I can't.
Oh, that was one
I'm
of our
tired.
guests. It's so funny. Anyways, they are running out of toilet paper. So listen, if you got a chance, send us pasta, dry pasta. Send us toilet paper. You know?
Pastas needs toilet paper.
I
right now.
need pasta because we have a lot of tomatoes.
We
canned
know.
tomatoes.
We don't need more pasta.
We need garlic.
No.
Yes, we do.
No, pasta.
Fam,
I'm not
we're
eating
not dieting
pasta.
in the middle of
Yes,
the
we
friggin'
are. You
Okay?
need to stop eating pasta.
I'm not eating. When the food runs out, you got to stretch it out. Pasta.
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 Stop eating pasta. It's good for
It's
you.
my great pasta. I love
No.
it. Johnny likes my pasta. We call him Johnny Pasta. So that's it for today, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, we're going to be tucked in. We're going to probably be coming on a lot. Tomorrow is Super Tuesday, so we're supposed to go
Yeah.
around 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
We do have an important video being released. If you haven't seen a lot of the feed put up to as far as the rigging that's going on, you have to watch them.
Yeah.
Talking about how Bernie won California.
Bernie won.
What's the other one that's just a great video? They're winning. Bernie is winning. They're just rigging it.
Yeah.
And you're going to see a little yellow machine. That's the machines we
The
have in
ballot
LA.
marking device.
The BMVs. You know what I'm saying?
BMDs.
BMVs.
No.
Devices.
No. BMD.
Ballot marking
God.
devices. V.
No, it's devices. BMDs. Ballot marking devices.
Fam,
Jesus Christ.
Let's not split hairs.
Okay, boomer.
DV.
Yeah, it's
they're
not
all there.
DV. No, it's just
VDs.
BMD is all it is.
Oh
Pasta.
my God! You know, Jimmy on the show today was yelling about Steph. You don't know, Jimmy. You got it lucky. I got this one over here. Forget about it.
Yeah, and good thing I'm not married to you because I
know.
would fucking murder somebody.
Fam, don't leave me. Don't leave the show. So, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back around clock. Yes, Johnny, we're going to premiere the video about how the Los Angeles election was stolen. We're going to show you everything that we experienced as a group, what we went out. We have everything. We documented everything. We have the proof for everything. It's just something small, but we're going to put it out there. I've also written an article I'm going to put out there as well that it just explains in detail what happened in Los Angeles, and it happens all around the country. It happened in New York. It's going to happen in Arizona. It happened last time in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Everything that guy was banging on the desk for is like, we ordered pizza twice. That shouldn't happen. This is our voting. I mean, he went and did that, but imagine how many people who can't do that, okay? And those are young, progressive voters. They're taking this away from Bernie Sanders. And whether you like Bernie Sanders or not, even if you're on the left and you feel he's made a lot of mistakes, he still deserves to win. He would be winning right now. He's still a much better choice than Joe Biden.
In order to have more candidates like a Tulsi, you need to have
Election integrity.
Election integrity and candidates that will open up the floor for third parties, for independents, for more honesty in our elections. So
yeah, we need it. We
And
need election
And I just
integrity.
want to say, regarding the coronavirus, I mean, coronavirus isn't really serious if you're younger, but if you're pre-existing condition and older, it's a bigger deal to you. If you're younger, you don't want to get it, so you don't transfer it to them, right? and
he's
they have the
doing it.
military in New York. In New York, they shut off the city. They've done a lot of shit. I mean, I don't know what's going on. Everyone should get prepared. I think you should buy stuff because we went out and bought stuff today.
Buy stuff, but don't hoard stuff because unfortunately, what happened is people panicked and they started hoarding things, and now
No
there's
toilet paper. What
there's-
are you doing to me?
Stop with the toilet paper. There's no like eggs, flour,
No
potatoes,
flour,
Eggs,
no
flowers,
pasta.
like rice. There's like
onions,
no
there's
things.
no
There's
potatoes.
nothing.
We
There's
went
no
to like
meats.
6 different stores.
Yeah.
Everything was empty. I took pictures. I just didn't put it in the show.
We can put
Prepare
them
for the
tomorrow.
worst, hope
It's
for the
empty.
best.
They said a couple stores, are restocking, but I don't know. There's rumors that Trump might go into a quarantine
And there's rumors that say
for the
he
nation.
won't. So
And there's
We
rumors
don't
that
know.
say he won't. But
You're the one making us watch these
there's
crazy
there's
movies
locusts
right
in
now, and then
there's
telling
locusts
us
in
to
Africa.
relax.
There's locusts
There's
in
locusts
Africa.
in Yemen and Saudi Arabia. I mean, there's locusts everywhere. Fiorella makes us watch these stupid, crazy movies and then she tells us to relax the day after when we want to go buy food. This is what we got to deal with, ladies and gentlemen.
whatever.
So tomorrow we'll cover the Super Tuesday. We'll have the Los Angeles riggings things, more stuff out on that. We'll be giving you everything we got. We want to thank you so much. If you can hit up our GoFundMe, please do so. If not, we have a Patreon. And if you can subscribe on ROKFIN,
Propaganda says plant seeds.
we got seeds.
we got seeds.
Thank you, Danny Garcia.
Danny Garcia.
We need a gun. Get over here. For pasta
Stop. I'm
Jardula.
not pro. Whatever. I don't want you guys to hold a gun without knowing how to use it. That's all.
A bunch of whales left the stock market. Peace.
Bye. Combo out.
Convo out. Pasta Fee. Eva. Johnny. Sue. Let's go.
That's not your line. It's my line. Combo out.
Peace.
Excuse me.